For this episode of At the Going Down of the Sun, I visited Mendlesham, where Edmund Graham Baskett is memorialised, and his parents were married in July 1869. As I read this list of the fallen, it struck me that Edmund died in Nigeria, which seemed a long way from the Western Front, and indeed the quiet Suffolk village of Mendlesham. This window to the left of the main aisle is the village war memorial, an almost unique and beautiful example. As you can see, it shows a soldier at the feet of the crucifixion. Continuing down, we have regimental crests, including the Royal Flying Corps and the Royal Engineers and the Suffolk Regiment. These railings are carved with a dedication to Edmund. I soon found out that although Edmund had been commissioned into the Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire Light Infantry in 1915 and joined the regiment at Portsmouth, they were not to ever serve in Africa. The more I looked into Edmund, the more astounding his life became. This is a photo of Edmund from the Imperial War Museum records. Edmund's mother Agnes was born in September 1848 to William and Elizabeth Cuthbert. William, like his father, was a member of the Royal College of Surgeons and an apothecary. On the 8th of July 1869, Agnes married Nathaniel Baskett, a farmer from Wetheringset, a village a few miles away. Edmund was, I believe, the seventh child to the couple, and the last to be born in England, as the family emigrated to New Zealand in September 1884, when he was about 20 months old. Nathaniel continued farming in New Zealand just around the time of the start of the gold rush there, at a place close to where the fictional Hobbit village in Lord of the Rings was later situated. Nathaniel had gone ahead and his family joined him later, arriving in Auckland aboard the Lady Jocelyn on Boxing Day 1884 after a 3-month voyage. Edmund and no doubt his brothers attended a school in New Zealand run by the gold mining companies. Here they learned various things such as mathematics and surveying and other skills that were going to be useful working in the gold industry. Edmund's brother Nathaniel unfortunately died at the age of 22 felling trees near to the entrance to one of the gold mines. Edmund worked in a gold mine as a battery hand. This is a job where you use cyanide to extract the gold from the ore that had been dug. At some point he left this job and travelled to the UK via Ghana, which was then known as the Gold Coast, or possibly Gold Coast, which is in eastern Australia, south of Brisbane in Queensland. This may have sparked his interest in Africa, leading to him joining the Nigeria Regiment at a later date. Edmund arrived in London in 1915, aged 32. I believe he went to stay, or certainly accommodated near, to his aunt and uncle's house, the brother of his mother Agnes, called Robert, and his wife Ellen. At the property on Southwark Bridge Road, there was also living there his cousins, Dorothy Mary Cuthbert, aged 25, and her brother Edward, who was aged 23. Dorothy was a student of music, and her brother was a medical student, following in the tradition of many of the Cuthberts. They lived at 9 Southwark Bridge Road. This is near to where their father, Robert, worked. He was a brewer with the Barclay Perkin Brewery, which later became part of the Courage Empire. The Barclay Perkin Brewery stood for many years until I believe the late 20th century. It is actually on the site of the original Globe Theatre. Edmund decided to join the British Army. Originally he joined the Oxfordshire and Buckinghamshire Light Infantry, 2nd Battalion, taking a post in Portsmouth with the training regiment as an adjutant, later transferring to the Nigeria Regiment. On the 20th of August 1917, Edmund, now 34, and Dorothy Mary Cuthbert, his cousin, got married. She was 27. After the marriage, Edmund left for Nigeria, arriving in Lagos. At the time, the headquarters of the Nigeria Regiment was at the town of Lokoja. This was the capital of the Northern Nigerian Protectorate until 1903. Lokoja is situated where the River Niger and the River Benue meet in Kogi State. I believe that once again he would have joined the training regiment as an adjutant, and several photographs from his own album show how much he enjoyed life there. Photos of him on horseback and on parade, and there is also a photograph of his garden. Many African troops were sent to the Western Front, but as far as I can tell, the Nigerian regiment didn't see any action. In fact, as this video from the Imperial War Museum shows, a lot of the African soldiers were not allowed to take up arms and were used in logistical duties. Edmund died from the flu epidemic at the end of the First World War. He died on the 27th of October 1918, leaving his widow, Dorothy, back in the UK, where she was granted probate on the 4th of February 1919. At that time, she was living in Bury Road, Newmarket. She never married again, living with her mother Ellen in Bournemouth, and then dying herself in 1970. Returning to St Mary's Church in Mendlesham, I want to talk a little more about the Cuthbert family and their memorials in the church. First of all is Edmund's great-grandfather, William Cuthbert, who was a surgeon. There is a tablet on the wall opposite the window. The window was paid for in 1912 by the Cuthbert family, and there is a brass plaque below that mentions several members of the family. Edmund's grandfather, William Cuthbert, also a surgeon, and his grandmother, Elizabeth. Their children, Mary and William, are also mentioned on the brass plaque. The window itself contains various members of the family, along with Jesus Christ and St. Luke. St. Luke being the patron saint of doctors, and Christ obviously the great healer. When Nathaniel and Agnes got married, the officiating vicar was called Edmund Mainwaring White. 8 years after the marriage, Edmund Mainwaring White married Agnes's sister Mary. So the plate is actually dedicated to Mary Mainwaring White. William and Elizabeth's son William Wood Cuthbert, mentioned on the brass plaque, was married to a lady called Julia Emma Grimwade, and they had a son, Robert Gordon Cuthbert. He is also on the War Memorial. Robert is buried in France. And so Robert is a cousin to both Edmund and Dorothy. William's grave has a black railing fence around it, and to the side of it is various children of the family. They shall not grow old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.